Every year there's a new list of the best pet lizard, snake, turtle, amphibian, whatever, and I'm here to tell you they're overrated. So you should get these 5 reptiles instead. Overrated is a strong word, but I truly do mean it. I think there are so many reptiles out there that just get this crazy hype and don't really deserve it for one reason or another, or even if they're awesome, which all of them are, there's just better reptiles for most people, so that's what today's list is. So I'm gonna give you 5 plus a bonus that you didn't see coming. Number 5, axolotls. I'm aware these are amphibians and not reptiles. I always run a list. I'm just starting it out. All the rest are reptiles, I promise. These are fully aquatic salamanders, which seems really cool. They can regenerate gills, limbs, organs. That's really cool. But you know what they don't do? Move, like at all, basically. They are so boring. I mean, I do think they're gonna be really popular in 2026. I don't know if it's Minecraft or whatever. I'm old, okay? Whatever it is that's blowing them up again, I get so many messages about them, and I'm here to tell you they are so overrated. The water needs to be super cold for them to survive. I mean, in the 60s, most people can't do that year round. I mean, if you live in Minnesota or Canada and it's February, sure, no problem, you can keep the water cold. But as soon as that temperature rises into the 80s, best of luck. Do you really want to central air condition your entire house to 66 degrees so that your axolotl survives? I know that my wallet for sure doesn't want that. And watching them eat is fun, okay? It's super fun to watch these animals eat, but I'm gonna tell you there are some better, well, there's one better option, in my opinion, if you're truly looking for an aquatic amphibian. And I'll give you one that's not really close, but is better and kind of sort of close. Anyway, I'm talking about Spanish rib newts, okay? Spanish rib newts are really cool. They're called Spanish rib newts because of their geography that they're from, and their ribs can literally break out of their body and stab predators that are trying to eat them. So that's pretty cool. They're fully aquatic. They look very similar. Most people, well, I'm sure that some people anyway, wouldn't be able to tell the difference, but they move around a lot more. The diet is pretty much the same, and you can put them in paludariums a lot easier. I know lots of people out there who have paludariums where they have Spanish rib newts inside of them, and then they have more fun stuff up top. One of those really fun things that I would recommend if you're looking for just something that's semi-aquatic but isn't brutal to just look around and it never moves, mountain horn dragons. I know this is a huge stretch, but keep in mind, for all of these substitutes, you have to take in consideration, what do people want out of this animal? Do you want an animal that is in the water a lot? Okay, well then that fits a mountain horn dragon. Or do you want a fully aquatic salamander or a fully aquatic amphibian? In which case, obviously, a mountain horn dragon doesn't work, and get a Spanish rib newt instead. Mountain horn dragons are awesome. I promise you, I'm not paid by Big Mountain Horn Dragon to promote them. I'm not a mountain horn dragon shill, but they're freaking awesome. So are coyotes, by the way, but they don't fit as well. But I love them. Number 4, ball pythons. And I know this is gonna ruffle so many feathers and make so many people upset, but it's my opinion and it's what I truly believe. Ball pythons, okay, they are really great pets. If you're looking for an impressive animal that comes in every paint job under the sun, that isn't difficult to care for and fits in a 4 foot by 2 foot by 2 foot box, ball pythons are the best pet. The reason I think they're overrated is because I mean, they're kind of boring in comparison to a lot of other snakes that you might want to get. Now, if you're brand new to snakes and this is going to be your first pet snake and you want something so easy, super duper easy, isn't going to move around a lot, just going to kind of sit there like a ball, and even if when it does move, it's really slow, for sure, ball pythons. That's your best bet. But if you're looking for something a little bit more adventurous, something new, something your friends probably don't have, I recommend 2 other species. One last thing about ball pythons that makes them overrated in my opinion is all the morphs. Who cares? I mean, if you're trying to get into ball python breeding in 2026, sorry, you're too late. Unless you have hundreds of thousands of dollars or at least tens of thousands of dollars to start, you're too late. It's a market that is crashing, and I'm not saying crashing like to be dramatic. It's not going down, it's crashing. I'll make a whole video about how the reptile industry is crashing, if you like. I'd love to make that video. Dave just made it. I made it in 2023. I'm just gonna revisit because I think it's changed a little bit and it's true. But honestly, if you want a pet with the morphs, okay, cool. If you want a white snake, great. If you want something that's pied, I get it, it's cool. But in my opinion, if you're looking for just a really great snake of around the same size, that's easier, eats all the time, and is more fun to handle, Antaresia is the first species I'm gonna recommend of 2. Well, it's a genus. Antaresia is a genus. And actually I always talk about how there's, children's pythons, spotted pythons, pygmy pythons, Stinson's pythons are now grouped together, but there's also a popwin, which I didn't know about. This is new. Anyway, to keep it simple, spotted pythons, it's my favorite. It's the closest to the size of a ball python. They're gonna be a little bit skinnier, but around the same length, maybe a little bit shorter. They have an amazing coloration. There's not tons of morphs. They're really affordable, and they're semi-arboreal. And although we think of ball pythons as always being on the ground, they're gonna use space to climb too. The nice things with spotted pythons is a 4x2x2 is still great, and you can give them enough options about a foot off the ground so that they can climb those, and you don't need a fully arboreal enclosure like you would with something like a carpet python or a bigger python that is going to be arboreal. So spotted pythons, in my opinion, are one of the coolest ever. I mean, I've been talking about them for 7 years, for as long as the channel's been around, and they're finally becoming more popular. But if you want something that's heavier bodied, like a ball python, that's gonna get maybe even bigger than a ball python, and truly spend most of its time on the ground, get a Dumeril's boa. They are a little bit bigger, to the point where I'd even recommend a 6-foot enclosure instead of a 4-foot enclosure. But this is a list for people who want something a little bit more different and unique. In my opinion, this is not science-based, but of all the animals I've ever held, and I've held most species of snake, these are probably the strongest pound for pound. They are so strong. On the level of reticulated pythons and even anacondas, in my opinion, relative to their size. So they're fun and they feel powerful, but not powerful enough that it's going to really hurt you. These are a placid animal. They come in a little bit of different color variation, but not a ton of morphs, or really any that I could think of that you could find in Europe or North America. They're gonna spend most of their time on the ground. They eat really great almost all the time, really easy parameters. Dumeril's boas, in my opinion, are maybe the coolest snake. I love them. I lost my favorite Dumeril's boa this year. It truly was devastating. I mean, having animals pass away is part of owning animals, but this one hit particularly hard because I just love this animal so much. And I think you'll love a Dumeril's boa as much as I do. Keep in mind too, you're gonna think that you want these animals, and I think it's just a bad habit to get the thing you think you're gonna want. That's kind of what this list is for. And if you're looking into breaking more bad habits at the end of this year and next, Fume has got your back. Today's sponsor, Fume, is an award-winning flavored air device, which I'm sure that you've already heard of. Just flavor, no nicotine, no vapor, no smoke, no batteries, and definitely no addiction. It depends what it is for you. If it's the oral fixation or the fidgeting, this has you covered. You can pick your airflow on the back, plus sounds pretty good. Perfectly balanced, looks really good. Change out your cores whenever you like. There's a few flavors I really like. Crisp mint has become my favorite, I think. And they're all balanced perfectly. Not too strong, not too weak, just perfect. Plus, being that it's so small and compact, just stick it in your pocket, whether you're driving at the office, it doesn't matter. You can do this inside, no one's gonna know. And even if they see you, it doesn't matter because nothing comes out. Listen, over 700,000 people have already made the switch to Fume, so what are you waiting for? And right now, for viewers of my channel, if you pick up the Journey Pack today at tryfum.com/Wickens, we'll give you a free topper. Reusable, chewable, makes a little softer mouthfeel. Go to tryfum.com/Wickens, pick up the Journey Pack today, and we'll give you a free topper. Before number 2, I'm gonna give you a bonus. My bonus is green tree pythons. Green tree pythons are becoming more and more popular. Now, this isn't an entry-level animal, although I do see a lot of people with money who are new get them. Don't. I mean, they're not the hardest thing in the world, but I'm gonna give you some guidelines if you are just gonna ignore what I'm saying and get one anyway before I give you their substitute. First of all, buy captive born and bred in the country that you live, or the United States or somewhere in Europe, and get them nidovirus tested. I'm not gonna get crazy into sciencey and like, oh, this is beyond my pay grade, I'm new, stop talking about crazy stuff that'll never happen to me. When you think things will never happen to you, sometimes it does. And if you have other snakes, green tree pythons, make sure they are nido tested negative and quarantine them for a year. This is gonna be a full video, trust me, and it's gonna be a banger, but I bought some green tree pythons, and boy, do I regret the way that I did it. Now, beyond the problems that you can have with them that are much more prevalent than other species, also they're just a little bit more difficult to keep. You want the temperature and the humidity to stay really, really stable. There's less room for air. They're more of a display animal that you're probably not gonna wanna handle, and they definitely don't want you to handle them. So carpet pythons, in my opinion, are, first of all, so similar. Not just scientifically similar, but just the way that they act, the way that they look, the way that where they're from. Carpet pythons and green tree pythons are both from the same places, Indonesia and Australia. Now, carpet pythons, there's a bunch of different ones. I like the jungles. I like the diamonds, which technically aren't carpet python. Anyway, not getting into that. The jungles are my favorite. Mine's a jungle cross, so it's got some jungle in it, and it's a reasonably sized snake, just under 6 feet. I've got a pair of them. They're placid, they're beautiful. The yellow and black is one of my favorite color combinations of all time. Not just because I'm a Bruins fan, but because I just think it's a really cool color combination. They are going to move. They're arboreal, so they're going to need a tall enclosure, just like a green tree python. But in my opinion, unless you get a crazy designer green tree, which there's lots of, I think that carpets are probably more beautiful. And also carpondros exist, so you can get a cross between the two. And I only mention that because there's some people in my audience that absolutely freaking hate them and just wait for the comment section to blow up. Anyway, number 2, Tokay geckos. I don't know why, I guess I know why. Tokay geckos look like Pokemon, okay? They do. They look beautiful. They're amazing. Their call is cool. I think they're great. But in terms of a big gecko, to me, part of owning big geckos like this, they're gonna hide during the day, is you can handle them. An animal that's not really a display, like a green tree python, for example, which is gonna be out all the time, I don't understand why people want those if they can't handle them. The allure to me of secretive animals that don't want to be out in the open and like to hide is that they're handleable. For example, leachianus geckos, which is the substitute, by the way. Now we're talking about number 1 biggest gecko in the world, leachies, and number 2 with tokays. Tokays are more beautiful. I'm gonna give you that, and there's more morphs, and the price is going up because there's a huge buzz about them, and now you see 1 or 2 people with really handleable tokays, which can be possible. But I'm telling you, you're gonna have to know what you're doing, you're gonna have to take some bites, and it's gonna take a lot longer than getting a leachianus gecko, which are my favorite of the big geckos by far. Not saying that all leachies come out like crested geckos in terms of how easy they are to handle. Some of them are gonna bark or growl at you, some of them don't wanna be handled, but in my limited experience, keep in mind I've only had them for a few years and I've only got a pair, they're easy. And even the ones that aren't easy, you can kind of acclimatize, that's the word. You can acclimatize them to you and being handled a lot easier than a Tokay. And they're slower. If a Tokay takes off, best of luck. You'll see it and you'll hear it, but you'll probably never catch it. A leachie is gonna be a lot easier to catch if by chance it jumps away from you, which does happen sometimes. The diet's very similar. The parameters are pretty similar. I mean, not the same, but in terms of easiness, right? The difficulty, they're both pretty darn easy to keep. And number 1, most overrated, in my opinion, Uromastyx. Okay. There was a time when I dreamed of having a big 300-gallon giant enclosure with 3 Uromastyx, Saharans, the yellows, all running around and basking. The reason that's a dream is, first of all, to put 3 together, you need a really big enclosure, like a 300-gallon, and until you actually own a home that you start putting stuff in, you don't realize how much room that takes. And also the running around part, LOL. These things do not do that most of the time. Most of the time, they sit there under their basking light. Most of them don't like to be handled all that much, and generally they're not that much fun to handle anyway. They're probably not gonna sit on your shoulder like this. And I'm saying in generality, I just think they're, if you want an arid species, if that's what you're in it for, an arid species that's really cool, and okay, but they're barely gonna move. So I'm gonna give you a few options here. If you want something that's an herbivore, like a Uromastyx that's only gonna eat not animal matter, just plant matter basically, chuckwallas. Now, the reason that I'm saying chuckwallas, kind of like chuckwallas, is good luck finding one. I truly think they're better in almost every way. It's just really difficult to find. Captive bred chuckwallas, they're freaking awesome though. So bringing it back down to earth, if you're looking for something that likes it really, really hot, is fun to take care of, doesn't necessarily have to be an herbivore, I recommend an ackie. An ackie monitor is of similar size. They're freaking awesome. Absolutely love them. They're really affordable. I've seen them as low as 150 Canadian dollars now, which is crazy because they used to be $500, $600, $700. Now keep in mind it's a monitor species, so they're really smart. They're gonna be moving around a whole bunch. They do eat animals, you know, mostly insects, but you know, sometimes a pinky mouse here and there. Now this isn't really similar, so if you're looking for something more similar, butterfly agamas are another really good one. They like it similar parameters, really hot, rather dry, fun to watch. They're gonna move around a whole bunch more, in my opinion, and more interesting to look at. Or if what you're getting out of it is you just want an enclosure with something that's gonna move and likes it that dry, kind of rocky, arid type look, get a big enclosure and put a ton of stenodactylus in it. Not a ton, okay? I'm not like, don't overcrowd your enclosure. But if you had, say, like a 100-gallon enclosure or 120-gallon enclosure for 1 Uromastyx, you could put like 5, 6, 7, 8 stenos, maybe even more than that. You could probably put like 10 stenodactylus in a 120-gallon enclosure if you have like shelving and things that give it more surface area. Cohab them, you can keep them on sand. They eat small insects, they're diurnal, they move around a whole bunch. You can cohab them, even males can be together. Stenos are the coolest. I know they're not the closest, but I give you 3 different options for one of the most overrated. Let me know in the comments section below what you think the 5 most overrated reptiles are, what you should get instead. Thanks Fume for sponsoring today's video, and because we do videos on Mondays and Thursdays, that means I'll see you on Monday.